This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Nature's Bounty. Nature's Bounty believes your body is brilliant, naturally designed to thrive, inside and out. For those always looking for new ways to support your health from head to heels, Nature's Bounty has a range of over 400 vitamins and supplements born from 50 years of trust and care. Nature's Bounty. It's in your nature. Visit naturesbounty.com to learn more.
There is no hood like parenthood. Hi, I'm Kanika Chadda Gupta. I'm a former CNN journalist, mom of 3, including twins, and host of That's Total Mom Sense, the podcast. Now, if I had $1 every time I heard, gee, you have your hands full. On my show, I interview change makers on their life lessons, legacy, and superpower of intuition, which I call our Mom Sense and Dad Sense. I've had the privilege of working with Mom 2.0, March of Dimes, and the White House, and have had some pretty amazing parents on my show.
Hey, what's up? I'm Kelly Rowland.
Hi, this is Chelsea Clinton.
It's me, Bobby Brown. Can't wait to share my story.
That's Total Mom Sense is a production of the Evergreen Podcast Network. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube so you never miss an episode. To join my tribe, visit that'stotalmomsense.com and follow me on Instagram at Kanika Chadda Gupta. Now let's dive into today's episode. My family is a rambunctious party of 5, and living organic is a priority for us. We sleep for 1/3 of our lives. Think about that. So it's important for me to know that my kids aren't breathing in unnecessary chemicals 10 to 12 hours a night. I discovered Naturepedic at a mom conference and have been a believer ever since. They're a company that designs mattresses, pillows, and bedding that are certified organic with numerous awards to prove it. I love the Verse collection, which is 100% GOTS certified organic cotton and wool, is free from glues, adhesives, or polyurethane foam, and passes flammability standards without fire retardants or chemical additives. Plus, for my twins, their 2-in-1 transitional kids mattresses were a game changer. Once they were potty trained, we could just flip from the waterproof side to the quilted side. If you're looking for organic sleep essentials for your family, look no further. Shop at naturepedic.com and use my code MOMSENSE to receive 15% off your order. And rest assured, pun intended, you're in good hands. With our competitive work culture, sleep deprivation is a major issue. Up to 75% of teenagers and nearly 30% of children don't get enough sleep, and parents are running on empty too. It's so important that we prioritize rest and sleep, and sleeping on organic materials makes it all the more healthy and sustainable for our bodies. This is That's Total Mom Sense, and I'm your host, Kanika Chadda Gupta. And today we have industry expert Arin Shultz, the Chief Growth Officer at Naturepedic, joining us. Naturepedic is a company dedicated to creating safe and organic mattresses, pillows, and bedding available nationwide. We'll dive into Arin's career journey and his perspective as a father of 4, the importance of going organic when it comes to sleep for parents and kids, and the science behind why organic materials matter. I can't wait to nerd out on all of it with Arin today. Arin, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here today. Really excited to talk about all sorts of things today with you.
Yes, me too. Me too. Well, let's take it back to your childhood and what a young Arin would think about what you do today.
Ironically, I was actually having this conversation about an hour ago, and so we're doing an event in our store tomorrow, in our Brooklyn store, and we have a lot of editors coming out. event is going to be from Rolling Stone. And if you would have told me when I was 13 or 14 years old that I would have an interviewer from Rolling Stone talking to me for the company that I work for, I would have lost my mind. It's like, it's even at, almost 42 years old, it is the coolest thing in the world to me. And I definitely, and I think it helped shape me a lot to what I do today, along with being a father. But, we moved around a lot, mainly for, my dad was in the trades and, money sometimes got scarce and whenever jobs were there, and we moved around a lot. I was in 9 different elementary schools.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it actually, I got really good at lying. So it's, and, it's why I'm, you got to reinvent yourself all the time. So if like I messed up at one school, it's like, well, probably going to be at another school in a couple of months. But, we were all over Ohio. I went to some elementary schools in California where I was born. And, no, I mean, it's, so I guess that sense of like, why I'm so into what we do now is, with my parents, it was never, obviously the older you get, the less judgments you hold against your own childhood and what that was like and how hard it is. And I mean, I'm the oldest of 5. I only have 4. So, but that sense of settlement with my kids and being able to provide things that I know are making them healthier, be it food to their environment, like that, along with trying to figure out parenting every day, makes me feel good to come to work, because I get to do something that a lot of people don't get to do. Is, yes, we're outwardly an organic mattress factory is not the sexiest thing in the world, but we get to do a lot of really cool things, and a lot of good charitable work too. And, everybody who works here gets to come to work every day knowing that we're making a difference, and we're not just making, 3 people wealthier every day. Like, they put as much money back into the business as they're getting out of it. And, it's a very selfless act. And, we work with a lot of childhood cancer, associations, and, we give back, we help out previously homeless people. We've worked with foster care associations. So, there's the list goes on and on and on. There's probably 50 different organizations that we work with in a given year. So that, I think if you could go back to when I was a kid to know that I worked for a company that got to do that stuff, I'd still think that was pretty cool.
Absolutely. Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible. And just, it's a lasting impact that you're creating. And I feel like you had to not only learn to reinvent yourself, but also like have these interpersonal skills and be able to interact in new environments with new people all the time. So that is something that will really carry you through life. Tell us a bit about your career trajectory now, because even that was very unconventional.
Yeah, no, I was kind of, growing up through high school, I was a terrible student. And, I try and, with my own kids, I have 2, I have 4 kids, but I have 2 teenagers right now. And my 14-year-old is A+++ student. He is more like his mother than he is me, and that's totally fine. My 18-year-old, though, is probably more like me, where, he tends to be a little bit more of a dreamer and, kind of figuring things out still. And my dad was like, go to college. And I was like, well, what does that mean? He's like, I don't know, just go to college. Don't be in the trades like I am, because he saw how hard it was for him. And obviously you don't want that for your own children. So I went to college, and I had 7 different majors. And the longest one that I did was criminal justice. And I will tell you, I would have made a horrible cop. Horrible. Terrible cop. And so it's a good thing that didn't work out. But, cut to a couple years afterwards, where I was kind of working just jobs really just to sustain an income. And then I got married very young. I got married at 20. And my wife and I found out that we were pregnant at 23 years old. And
wow.
it was like something turned on inside of me, of where I didn't want to be a screw up of a dad. And I didn't want to give my kid a life of of going without. And, so I got my first sales job, and, that worked out for a couple of years. And then I kind of, I always had the sense of, I get bored easily, where like if I'm doing the same thing day in and day out, it just doesn't excite me. And so I got another job, and it was like, and inside of 3 years, I actually surpassed what they thought I was going to make by threefold. And I was like, oh, I'm pretty good at this. But as luck would have it, a couple years later, my old employer, his boss or his friend needed a job. I was the last man hired. So I got cut. And then I made a lot of money commission wise. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take the summer with my two older boys. And I spent the whole summer with them. And if you have the opportunity to spend as a father, if you have 3 months to spend with your kids, you are never, ever, ever going to get that time in your entire life again, because they're only little for so long. You know, I found Naturepedic, and, you know, I had my first interview with Barry, and he is probably one of the most interesting people I've ever met in my whole life. He has had such a lengthy career in the environmental space, and, you know, kind of walked me through why we do what we do. And it wasn't just a job interview. Like, it was really more of like a learning seminar about organic mattresses. And I was like, I'm a parent, I could really get into this. And, you know, I'll be here 11 years in September, and they're going to have to drag me out of here. I applied those skills that I've worked in other arenas to Naturepedic, and it has been very beneficial. We grew from, you know, kind of working within mom and pop shops to we're about to open up our 30th store in Nashville next month. And,
congratulations.
Thank you. No, it's very exciting. And, you know, it's just, it's still, after almost 11 years, coming to work every day and knowing that we're making a difference, and I get to watch everybody else get excited about that, and, you know, talk to people such as yourself. You know, it's just, it's a very exciting job.
Yes. That's great. And I think, you know, you had mentioned on another interview how when you were brought in to one of your kids' schools for Bring Your Parent to Work Day and like parent presentation day, I want to know what that reaction was like, because I think it's oftentimes those who follow the uncircuitous path that kids are intrigued, and it's like, I want to do what he's doing. He's happy.
Well, and I wanted to be able to do that. For one thing, they never invited me back afterwards. So I'll say that much. Well, because the message when you're in school is go to college, get a degree. Yeah. And that doesn't work for every kid. And, you know, I'm case in point for myself. My 18-year-old is not going to be going to college, because he knows he's like an amazing artist, and he's like a musician, and we're going to let him go down that path and figure that out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they brought me in for career day, and, you know, I basically stood in front of an entire gymnasium of 7th and 8th graders, and I asked, I said, who likes to lie? And, you know, as everybody show hands, and the guidance counselor started side-eyeing me. And, you know, I told him, like, I didn't finish college. And I will tell you, they had 5 other parents there. All of them had college degrees. And I'm not knocking college degrees. I mean, there's reasons why we have doctors and lawyers and all these things that you cannot learn on the job. But I will tell you, you know, it was a sense of pride that, like, my job was the coolest job in there, and I probably, you know, made more money than most of the people talking that day, and I didn't have college loans to pay off. Yeah. So,
that's, you know, refreshing.
And so, you know, I told these kids, for those who are kind of looking for like an unconventional path, you know, sales isn't easy, but if you play competitive sports, and you don't like losing, sales is probably the thing for you. You know, I obsess over it, and, you know, and I think that, you know, resonated with quite a few of those kids, because I think a lot of times, you know, when you're in 7th and 8th grade, you have no idea what you want to be. But I think it was interesting enough to where, like, maybe, you know, the sole focus isn't on a 4-year college degree. Maybe there's other paths that can lead to success.
Yes, I'm so with you. And about the sales bit, I remember when my now husband, then boyfriend, and I were talking, and I was moving into another apartment with my 3 roommates. This was in New York City. He prepared me, and he said, I had to go get a new mattress. And he was like, just be prepared that those who are going to sell you the mattress, whichever store you end up going to, it's like a used car salesman. So you need to be so buttoned up with, tell me why and how well do you know this product? And because they really do know how to sell, and if they're like bullshit artists or whatever. And so as a consumer, we have to like come ready. So how do you feel with Naturepedic, how you stand behind that product? Because now you really don't have to bullshit. The awards and the way that the product is manufactured speaks for itself.
Yeah, well, and I try and instill this in all the people within our stores too. Is I don't like being sold that way. We you go in to buy a car. It is like I walk out of there with like, yes, the new car that I have. You must feel like a little disgusted. You feel violated.
Totally. Oh my gosh, yeah, it's like that.
And it's like a 6-hour process, and
yep.
And then they try and do the little song and dance, and it's a whole thing. And I don't. Even though I am the chief growth officer for Naturepedic, I love a self-checkout. I don't like to talk to people. And anyone who works here knows I'm probably like a 76-year-old man trapped in a 41-year-old's body. I'm just grumpy most of the time, but I mean well. But for our stores though, there's no hard selling. We want people to feel, and that's why we have one of the lowest return rates in the industry, is because we want you to feel comfortable with the purchase you're ultimately making. Most of our sales, it's not a turn and burn type of situation. We want you to come to the store. Sometimes our sales process runs between like a half an hour to almost 2 hours. We will sit there and go through every single last bit of it so you feel comfortable with it, because it's a very intimate purchase. Right. It is, you spend a third of your life in bed, and, you're going to be with this thing for, at least 8 to 10 years. That's how often you should be replacing your mattress for a variety of reasons. But, we don't want buyer's remorse. Even if we don't get the sale, we'd rather not get it instead of having an unhappy customer. So, yes. So this way they're out telling all their friends and family and everything else, and it's working extremely well for us. And our customers really appreciate it. I mean, our customer service from the stores to what we do here on our, at a corporate level is second to none. I mean, they'll literally, like, I've heard them in their customer service area. They'll talk to a customer for half an hour about just parenting tips because somebody's looking for some sort of answer on something. Nothing to do with our mattress, but they'll talk to them through all the way through on that stuff. And we will hang our hat on that all day long. So.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And what would you say really encapsulates the company mission?
Going back a little bit of a history lesson, we're a Cleveland-based company, and Barry, one of our founders with his two sons, Jeff and Jason, Barry went to Cleveland State University back in the 1960s and early 1970s. And in 1969, the Cuyahoga River caught on fire. Water does not catch on fire. Throughout the industrial age and through the 50s and 60s, there was a lot of companies that were in downtown Cleveland, right along the Cuyahoga River, that were dumping God knows what into that river. And it feeds right into Lake Erie. And that kind of was the catalyst for Barry of, starting his career in, the environmental arena. To this day, not only are we obviously in the mattress sector, but from all of our charitable giving that we do, but all of the legislation that Barry helps, push along, and myself and another member of our team too. Like, we've been on Capitol Hill lobbying for chemicals to get taken out of a variety of different products, just because of like our mission is not just in the mattress area. We want to make things as healthy as possible because, still, again, to 2025, we are still living in a very toxic age, and there's not really a lot of policing that goes around it. So that's probably our primary mission, is just literally to make the world a little bit safer, no matter what it is.
Yes. And you have so many milestones and awards. And I'd love for you to break that down because it's really remarkable. I heard first about this when I met the Naturepedic team at Mom 2.0. It's a yearly conference in around the country. And this one happened to be in Nashville. And the team was so passionate about telling me about all the awards. And I was like, this is incredible. I love to see when you put organic or certain labels on things, it's actually true because, so many products out there are like, oh, this is natural. And this, no, it's actually not. When you read the back, it's not. So you actually, the Naturepedic has actually won awards where, yes, you can put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, we were one of the first certified organic mattress companies by only a couple of days. It was because we got our paperwork in late.
Okay.
But again, we've been doing this. This is our 22nd year of business as of this month, actually, and which is not. In the mattress industry, there's not a lot of companies that do make it 22 years. So we're very proud of that fact. And, our certifications definitely are, a big part of who we are. Our facility is GOTS certified. That's GOTS, Global Organic Textile Standard. And what that means is 3 times a year, they have an independent agency that comes in. They pull a mattress off the shelf, and we have to show them through documentation from the time that seed was planted in that farmer's field to the time that cotton showed up to our factory, that we were able to trace everything along the way to make sure that no funny business was happening with that particular material. And that same goes for our wool and our latex that we have. We have a very much open door policy. We love to give tours. If you're ever, I would recommend coming to Cleveland in the summer, not any other time. But if you ever want to come for a tour, we'd be happy to have you.
Oh, I would love that. I'd love that. And I feel like it's the most fun tour because you get to try out all these beds, and it's like having a fun slumber party. I can picture myself doing that with my kids. That's so sweet. And speaking of kids, tell us about your fatherhood journey and how that's impacted you.
I honestly, maybe I'm not the only one, but if you would have told me 20 years ago that I would have 4 kids, I was the oldest of 5, but just being a father, it was just like not even, you're just trying to figure out life really. But, being a father it's literally how I conduct myself through all of life because I've got people who look up to me. I got people that rely on me, and, that keeps me motivated and keep moving. I cannot fail. It gets me up in the morning, and I'm sure everyone, who listens now is probably a parent, and, losing or, a kid is, you're having kids. It is the greatest and the worst thing that will ever happen to your entire life. It is the most profound thing that I've ever had. Now I have one that's driving, and every time he leaves the house, I am scared to death. And, I try not to helicopter. They have to make mistakes. They're like sword fighting with sticks in the yard. And I was like, well, maybe somebody's going to get cracked in the head, but they probably won't do that again. You kind of have to let it play it out. But yeah, it's, and again, it's what I'm doing now for the company that I work for will not on this grand scale. What our hope is, like, we're not moving mountains, but we hope that we inspire other companies to do the same. And our customers and everybody is, if they can catch on to what we're doing and companies start doing more of the stuff that we're doing, then it will leave our, the world a little bit better of a place when it's time for our kids to inherit it. I think we are stewards of it. It doesn't belong to us. It's going to pass off to somebody else. And, we have a big responsibility to make sure we take care of it.
Yes. Oh, I couldn't agree more. I actually had the most heartwarming conversation with my youngest. So I have boy-girl twins. They are 8, and then my younger son is 6. And so his name is Trey. He asked me the other day, after we had his shower and he's in his pajamas and he's all cozy. And he was like, will I be a good dad? And I was like, of course. What are you talking about? Of course. And he said, I want to be a good dad. Will I be as smart as Papa with all the answers and play baseball with my kids? And, and it was like the fact that you're asking that right now, you're going to be the most amazing dad, and I love how you get to be that for your kids now, because they're already thinking, what am I going to be like when I'm in my 40s?
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I mean, the fact that you're just asking that question, and, no one ever, figures out parenting. I mean, I think as long as your kids don't become serial killers, I think you won a little bit.
Yeah.
That's really what it boils down to. And I just want them to be happy. They don't have to be successful. As long as they're happy at what they do, that's all that matters. And, and you hope that some of it sticks with your kids, that you're like, for my dad, my dad passed away actually during the holidays, and
I'm sorry.
he
I'm so sorry.
he had lung cancer for a very short amount of time. We thought we had a lot longer, and it just came on so quick. And don't smoke. I'll tell you, if you take on anything, don't smoke. My dad wasn't very loving or very checking in on us or anything like that. But what I got on my dad was his work ethic. And, my dad, when I was 11 or 12, my dad did drywall for a living, and he fell off some scaffolding and broke his arm in 2 places, and came home that night. And he got a wrap for his arm, and he put it in a sling and everything. And because my dad only got paid if he was actually working to support his 2 kids or 5 kids, he went to work the next day, put a pan of drywall mud inside of the sling, and just started slinging drywall mud. And he did that for 6 weeks.
Oh, my God.
So that's where I try and my wife thinks sometimes I probably do work too much, but if my dad can go in the very next day after breaking his arm in 2 different places on 0 pain meds, by the way, they don't make them like they used to. My dad was very much he was very
military
very
grade
80s guy.
Yeah. And I know exactly what you're talking about.
I can answer an email. I can pick up the phone call. I can work a little bit harder than everybody else, because if my dad could go through that, then I can too. And hopefully for my kids, I'm showing them that type of work ethic no matter what they end up doing. So
Yes, you definitely are. So your wife and you, have you always been all organic everything? Because we do have so many discerning customers out there, including me. And I feel like because I'm aware and I'm asking the questions, then I can't just, pull the wool over my eyes and be like, okay, we're going to get it anyway. There's times where you're like, okay, fine. The fast food, we'll let it go, whatever. But for the most part, even my kids know, Mom, this one's organic. Let's choose this one instead.
Oh yeah, no, they're my youngest ones are funny because they you always see kids in movies and stuff where the mom is super crunchy granola, and it transcends to the kids, and we'll be in somewhere out and about, and they're like, oh, we can't have that because it has dyes in it.
Awesome.
I swear, stay away from dyes. My kids are a bunch of maniacs if they have any red or blue or yellow or whatever.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yes.
But no, it kind of motivated things. Once I started working here, we started making trying to be as anti-plastic as possible. The microplastic and things now are just so crazy and prevalent. I mean, they're finding it in people's bloodstream and their brain tissue and everything else. And we moved to cleaners, but the longest reigning thing that we've had was probably the way we eat, with produce and stuff. It is so bad. So produce is so bad. The Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 list that the EWG puts out every year, it is so helpful. And, honestly, you can tell the difference. The mattresses we make are, organic cotton. Cotton is the most heavily pesticide sprayed crop in the entire world.
Whoa.
So, organic cotton, whether it's a bed, it's towels, if it's your clothes, organic cotton is definitely the way to go because you're literally just draping yourself in, pesticides. But I will say my wife champions it way more than I do. I mean, let's face it. I mean, I'm always, wives and women in general, you guys are way better at taking care of yourselves than us. Like the doors are going to fall off pretty quick on this 41-year-old body. Not as quick with a wife who's very good at making sure that I'm, eating right and looking at all these things. But if you're going to a grocery store and they have an organic food section or a healthy food section, what is the rest of the store?
I know. Yeah. And you're only supposed to really shop around the perimeter. That means everything in the middle is like actually not good for you.
Yeah. It's been great. I mean, obviously, Whole Foods is a great source. I will say for those, and my wife and I actually just started doing this in the last few years, it is a great resource if you actually break down the costs, but buying local in terms of like getting a CSA, we're actually looking at buying half of a organic fed longhorn cow to carry us through. The cost is immeasurably different than buying from a grocery store, and it's totally local, it's treated well, they feed it right, and that has been great, and it cuts down on our grocery bill. So I wouldn't worry about there's always that joke about Whole Foods, whole paycheck. If you buy local, it makes a difference.
Yes, I love that. Now let's transition into organic mattresses and why they're so important for families. So I want to just set the stage on sleep with some stats across the board. So here are the hours of sleep needed by age. Newborns, so 0 to 1, need about 16 hours of sleep. Toddlers 1 to 2, 14 hours. Preschoolers 10 to 13 hours. School-age children 9 to 11 hours, and teenagers 8 to 10 hours of sleep. So anything sub 10 isn't enough. And sleep deprivation has its consequences. And, to kind of run through that, it can lead to hyperactivity, learning problems, weight management issues, and children who don't get enough sleep may have trouble paying attention and concentrating, have decreased brain development, negative emotions, growth issues. And this is all backed by neurologists, psychologists, and pediatricians. So, sleep is paramount. And I mean, I just want you to explain why that's really the cornerstone of what Naturepedic is building its products around, is like making sure you get restful, healthy sleep.
Well, it's not even about giving your brain a rest too, but like when you're sleeping, that is your time for your body to actually be flushing out all the toxins in the day. And if you're not giving enough time for that to happen, that's why you feel tired, sluggish, all those things, and you're more susceptible to illness when your immune system isn't working properly. I travel quite a lot for work, and I can tell you the big difference. I probably 30, 35 business trips a year. And when I am not sleeping on my Naturepedic bed, it is my REM cycle is messed up. Doesn't matter how quiet or loud that room is, or how even comfortable that bed is for that matter. I'm just not sleeping properly. And, I would recommend, we have two things. You can either obviously go into any mattress store, whether it's Naturepedic or not, and test it out there. But, we have our EOS mattress line where you can actually kind of showroom it in your own bedroom because we have a layer swap system into it. But, in that, between all those materials and the right feel, like that is the thing to really focus on. And overall, I think your health is going to improve. I mean, we're not a medical device company, but we have heard many, many, many testimonials from customers of, I had skin issues that cleared up. I had breathing issues that cleared up. I finally got a full night's rest again. And I have for weeks. I just generally feel better. And I mean, it's the same thing when you like when you have a crappy diet and then all of a sudden you're eating salads, you're eating, more vegetables, you are eating more organic, there is just a natural, your body is responding to that, health around you, and you're naturally just going to end up feeling better the next day.
It's absolutely true. Yeah, and let's actually learn more about these toxic materials. I feel like that's most empowering when you know what, like Vox is. So tell us about materials that are often used in mattresses like polyurethane and what they're actually doing to your body.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably spend another hour talking to you about how terrible mattresses are and all the terrible chemicals that go into it. Polyurethane foam, it takes 20 gallons of crude oil to make a standard queen size mattress.
Oh,
And,
whoa.
and obviously you're not sleeping on a pile of sludge. They're adding in a billion different chemicals into it to foam up that crude oil to turn it into polyurethane foam. And that, it's not that that wasn't bad enough, but then they add flame retardant chemicals to it. And flame retardant chemicals are known carcinogens. And, your mattress is now laden with these things, and you're sleeping on it every single night. And, there's between that and volatile organic compounds and perfluorinated compounds. I mean, there are over 100 different chemicals that actually go into the manufacturing of a mattress. Crib mattresses in a lot of are even worse, which, it's sad in this day and age that, with a lot of that science being out there that, these things are still allowed to be put into the marketplace, considering, I've used this adage a lot that, obviously children are like sponges, but it couldn't be more true. I mean, generally that's in relation to like information, or, you swear around your kid, they're probably going to repeat that swear word in front of a company you didn't want.
Right.
But it in relation to like their little systems, especially when they're first born, they're taking everything into their environment, into their bodies. And it is so important to use, organic lotions when you possibly can, and to where they sleep, to the food they eat. It is literally going to set them up for the rest of their lives through what's going on when they're babies and children. Sometimes Naturepedic is the most inexpensive thing in the world, let's be honest. But, between being an American-made company with certified organic materials, that inherently breeds, a much, higher price point. You can go out and buy a $50, $60 crib mattress, but two things you're definitely going to find in there are probably cardboard inside of that crib mattress, and also this thing they call, it's called a shoddy pad. It's basically the sweepings of textile floors, and they mash it all up into a mat, and then they stick it inside of your crib mattress.
My gosh.
So, it's just like clothing or anything else you buy. The cheaper you get, the cheaper the materials are going to be, and probably the more harmful they are for you.
Yes, and that's why it behooves us to not make the investment, because we do spend 1/3 of our lives sleeping and breathing in what's on the bed. So that is so, so, so important. So tell us about the substitutes now. How are Naturepedic mattresses different? How are they formulated?
For those, so we don't, shame anybody, or if anybody's not in the market just yet for another mattress, I would always start small if you possibly can. Get some organic sheets, get an organic mattress cover, get some organic pillows. These are just small things along the journey that, that are, when you are ready, when the budget is better for these things, then you can upgrade to those other things. But I think just making these, it will greatly improve your overall sleep patterns throughout the night just by adding some of these other elements into your bedroom.
Yes, that's a great point.
With Naturepedic, we don't, our mattresses, we're not doing anything, mind-blowingly, tech heavy. The way we make mattresses, aside from a few minor conveniences, are how mattresses were made prior to the 1960s. Again, we're a Cleveland-based company. One thing that we're excited about too, not only being a certified organic company, but about 80% of our workforce in the factory is Amish. So you're getting an Amish handcrafted mattress as well. And they've been with us longer than I've been here too. And they put out an amazing product, and they really care about the type of work that they're putting out. And, there's a lot of hands-on manufacturing that goes into it. A lot of it is, sewing machines and We don't use glues or adhesives in our manufacturing. It literally individually, it's called a hog ring gun, but it's like a round staple. And we're basically using that to manufacture these mattresses instead of using glues or adhesives.
Oh my goodness, that is so cool. I love it. And that's what you're paying for is, the fact that it's handcrafted. There's longevity. There's a 25-year warranty. I mean, that's amazing. That's really something. I just want to recap that, studies have shown that 70% of parents are most concerned about chemical exposure in the children's products, making organic mattresses top of mind. And the market is projected to grow at a rate of 10.5% through 2028, reflecting increasing consumer awareness about sustainability and health. So we really are on an upward trend, which is amazing. Tell us about some of Naturepedic's hero products.
Yeah, so our breathable crib mattress, it's won many, many awards, and I'm sure a lot of parents are very well aware of breathable crib mattresses. It's been a hot topic over the last 6-7 years, and Naturepedic's been in business for 22 years, and we started with crib mattresses. We have sold well over 1 million crib mattresses, and I think an added benefit of breathability is, especially if the mattress is waterproof, you put your hand on that waterproof mattress for about 5 seconds, your hand starts to get really sweaty. So if you live in like the Southeast or the Southwest, or even in summertime, if that baby gets hot and sweaty during the night, their REM cycle is going to get messed up, and they're going to keep you awake. And I know sleep is a hot commodity. So, being able to have your baby sleep throughout the night and sleep cooler is a great added feature. But what we wanted to do, you cannot breathe all the way through our crib mattress, but you put them on a mattress you can breathe all the way through. They throw up, they have blowouts, they snot, whatever bodily fluid that kid can throw out right now, it's going to happen. So that's going to go inside of that mattress. It's going to go through your mattress onto the carpet. And, being a new parent, you're not thinking about any of these things. It only takes 9 days for mold to start to grow. So if you're not constantly cleaning that thing, then that
then they're breathing in mold.
Then they're breathing in mold. So what we set out to do was we actually came up with a removable, breathable cover. And so in the middle of the night, it's 3 a.m., you got one eye open, your kid threw up, and you don't want to be breaking out cleaning supplies. You literally pop that cover off. And we always recommend to have 2, so you can pop one right back down and just go back to sleep and get some much needed sleep. So to make that quick change without having to worry of, breathing in black mold for that sake, it's why we've won a lot of awards for it. And I think, parents are really catching on to that.
Yes.
And for those older kids too, we this actually is a much older model of ours, but it's our 2-in-1 kids bed. And being a parent of 4 boys, again, kids are gross for a lot of reasons. And it was designed specifically for potty training children. So one side is actually waterproof. We use the same waterproofing we do for our crib mattresses. And the other side is quilted. So when they get done potty training, the whole mattress actually flips over and has a quilted surface like a standard mattress would be. Generally, I would say if you do get one or have one, probably about the age of 6 is probably a good age to flip that over to the quilted side. And then they can have they're a little more discerning about where they sleep at that point in time. So it's a little bit softer. And then our EOS line of mattresses that I had mentioned before, it is, for many, many reasons. We created it for 2 specific reasons, though. And one was sustainability. Every single year, over 18.2 million mattresses get thrown into a landfill. It's enough to cover the state of Kansas by a third every single year. And if you stacked them end to end. And, so what's nice about this bed is that the whole thing actually unzips. So, 10 years from now, your mattress still feels great, but you just want to just freshen it up. You want that feeling of a new mattress, but you don't want to pay for a whole new one. You can actually take the encasement off and replace that. Or vice versa, if the layers on the inside are needing to be refreshed, you can replace those too. But we also figured that not everyone sleeps the same. So that's what's nice about the EOS is you can actually choose the firmness level on each side. And we're able to dial that down, depending on which model you get, to a pretty significant level, to where you can get like very specific on what level of firmness you want on your mattress. And it's won a couple of Good Housekeeping awards. It's won a lot of top 10 awards. And as far as our adult stuff is concerned, it's one of our highest selling models, because people like to have that advantage of being able to have that variability in their sleeping patterns with their partner.
Yes, yes. I mean, I have been a beneficiary of this. We have a king mattress that's EOS, and same thing. So I sleep on a medium side, and my husband sleeps on an extra firm. And the fact that we can switch it out as we get older, if we want to, there's just so much to select from. So there's extra firm, firm, cushion firm, medium, and plush. So you don't have to go out and buy a whole new mattress. You could just switch out that insert, which is amazing. Amazing. And my kids love their 2-in-1s, their twin beds. My daughter actually has the Serenade, and she feels like she's sleeping on clouds. It's the sweetest thing. So yeah, I love that they, haven't had any sleep disruptions. And, ever since we changed over to Naturepedic, I'm noticing such a big difference in how, blissfully they're asleep. Like they get to that REM cycle sooner, and it's amazing.
We touched on it a little bit before, but, your mattress is the largest indoor air polluter in your home, aside from your sofa. So, I mean, if you ever get a brand new mattress again that isn't an organic mattress, you probably got to wait multiple days for that thing not to have just like that scratchy throat feeling, to where you feel comfortable laying on it. And those are all those chemicals just starting to off gas.
Yes, yes. Okay, now I want to play a fun rapid fire to close this out. It's called You Snooze or You Choose, because we're not losing. And so let's kick it off. Okay, the first one is: a firm mattress is always the best for good sleep. Snooze or choose?
Choose.
Okay. Organic mattresses can actually improve sleep quality.
Choose.
Yes, that's like a ding, ding, ding.
Mm-hmm.
You got to choose organic. You should replace your mattresses every 5 years.
Snooze.
Okay. Is there another yearly marker we should look out for?
Yeah, every 8 to 10 years. And, it's a good rule of thumb. And it's pretty much lived its life at that point. We do have a 25-year warranty, but every 8 to 10 years is a really good rule of thumb.
Okay. And a cool sleeping environment helps you fall asleep faster, meaning just colder temperature.
Choose.
Yeah, I think so too. More pillows mean better sleep.
Oh, snooze.
Yeah.
It's not. I struggle with that in any hotel I ever go into. Is I have one pillow at home, and you go to a hotel and they give you like 18 of them, and I'm fighting for my life all night long. So generally, most of the time they end up on the floor.
Yes. Oh, I'm so with you. If you have the perfect firmness, and again, organic cotton that you're breathing in, it's so much better. Okay. You can catch up on lost sleep over the weekend.
Oh, definitely snooze, because it's never going to happen. They always say you will, but you're running around doing all of those errands that you had no time to do during the week, and you always stay up later than you intended. It's better to just try and keep it even throughout the entire week as much as you possibly can. I have a very strict, even on the weekends, I am up no later than probably about 6 a.m. every single weekend. So. Yes.
Okay. Wow. I think our circadian rhythms are pretty much set. So that's that. Yeah. Natural latex and organic cotton are better for breathability and comfort.
Definitely choose.
Yeah, you got to choose for that. And lastly, a good mattress is just as important as diet and exercise for overall health.
Definitely choose.
Yes. I wanted to ask you a few, last questions before we let you go. One is a dad sense moment. What was a moment in time that you trusted that built-in sixth sense of yours when it came to your kids or just, in life in general, that you were like, I am so glad I trusted my inner knowing?
Honestly, it's growing up, we talked about this earlier separately, but, growing up in the 80s, no one ever came looking for me. It's a good thing. I made it out alive. I think, there have been a lot of intuitions where I would say never be afraid of, I don't want to say offending somebody, but if your gut's telling you this isn't a good situation, trust your gut every single time. Because I'd rather be safe than sorry when it came to my children.
Yes. Oh, that's really good. A piece of advice there. And is there a mantra or, a credo that you live by?
A couple of years ago, it's when, especially with little kids, is they're never easy. They have their own sense of self and, it's just parenting gets the best of you sometimes. And I'm much better at this now of stopping and thinking in this particular moment, if I was 80 years old and I could come back to today, right now, how would I handle this situation? And, it's always with love and caring and understanding. It's not by losing my temper or yelling or, whatever it might be. Because again, if I could relive this moment when my kids are all grown up and not little kids anymore, I would handle that with that exact phrase. And it is, I think, why I'm so close with my kids now is because I do take that approach. And it's when you put it in that perspective, it's so minute and in the moment. Like they're kids, they have their brains aren't even developed at this point. So
right.
It's just taking the time out to remind yourself that this is their childhood and you're their parent. And at this moment, how you react in these particular moments with them is going to shape them for the rest of their lives.
Wow. That really hit home. I'm so with you. And it goes by in a flash. It really does. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us and helping all parents who are tuning in and families rest easy.
Just very happy to be here today.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of That's Total Mom Sense. You can listen to the audio version wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for That's Total Mom Sense. You can learn more about my guests by logging on to www.thatstotalmomsense.com. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, where I'm most active on social media. My handle is @Kanika Chadda Gupta. And if you have ideas for show topics or guests you can't wait to have on the show, write to me at thatstotalmomsense@gmail.com. And lastly, please rate, review, and subscribe to That's Total Mom Sense if you haven't already. Thanks for being in my tribe.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Wishing you a very happy half-off holiday because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. And Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day. Yeah?
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.